Hello, guys. Welcome back to Reinvented. Today we have Raven. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Raven Ray. I am a singer, performer, new author, and CEO of Black Leaf Naturals, and I'm from Ohio.
And if you want to go into it a little bit, what is Black Leaf Naturals?
Yeah, Black Leaf Naturals is my natural vegan brand, and we do candles, body butters, oils, hair oils, different things for the skin, but everything is natural and vegan.
And then, with all that going on, what do you think people most misunderstand about you, or
Hmm.
misunderstand?
What do I think? That's interesting. I would say I can't say my story because I share my story pretty openly, but I could say maybe my personality. Um, I don't always share, things that are very, very private to me. I'm a very private person, so I like to keep things, close to me. So I think sometimes maybe people can misunderstand certain things about that, but I'm a pretty open book when it comes to my story.
And by open book, what exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean I guess career wise, or just kind of maybe how your career started?
I would say with like my mental health journey and how I got here today, I'm very open about sharing the struggles that I've had, different adversities, different medical challenges that I've had, and how I navigated through them. So I just love to put that in everything I do, from business to just having a conversation with somebody. I'm always looking to just be a light.
And if you don't mind talking about it, did you want to talk a little bit about your journey?
Yes, of course. So I would say I started singing at the age of 4, and I was raised by the best mother ever for the first 5 years of my life, and then she passed away when I was 5 from cancer. And so I kind of had to learn how to grow up really, really fast, really quickly, and learn who I was at an early age. Getting uprooted from one school system and having to make new friends and, move across town. And then shortly after that, a few years later, I got diagnosed with a life changing illness called ulcerative colitis. And I was told I would need to take medicine just for my organs to function properly, like 12, 14 pills a day, just to be okay to be able to just go to school. And so that was my life for the first, like, I would say a long time after I got diagnosed. Like, that was just my life, my everyday routine, just taking the pills, going to school, trying to learn how to be normal, I guess you could say. And then from there, I got diagnosed with scoliosis and I had to have a spinal correction surgery. So that was another health challenge that I had to navigate as a teen. And then just kind of learning my place in the world, I spiraled into a depression during my teenage years, and I didn't actually get the help that I needed until I was 19 when I started going to therapy. And then that was also the same year I started writing my first album, my mental health awareness album, and I put that out. So everything just really stems from my story and bringing awareness to these different issues that may be stigmatized or that don't get as much light or attention in mainstream.
And then, what is probably your biggest message when it comes to mental health?
Oh yeah, that's important. That's a good question. I would definitely say that it's important to pour into yourself because you can't pour from an empty cup. We hear that all the time. Like, we all feel like we can conquer the world, but if you're not giving yourself the love and the self care that you need on a daily basis, it gets really, really hard to be able to be a light for others. So when you're just depleting your energy and you're not refilling, your cup back up, it can get very, very challenging. And then that's how you kind of end up in these dark places. So I would just say pour into yourself and let the goodness flow from there.
And then, like, also, what would you say to someone who's kind of like in that dark place, like currently?
Yeah, I would say it's okay. It's okay. Trouble doesn't last always. Pain doesn't last always. It may feel like it when you're there, but I like to think that we go through these hard moments to learn, to grow as souls, to grow as people, to be able to inspire. And it can be challenging to look at it that way, but it's okay. It's okay to go through what you're going through because it does help you grow.
And then, like, I guess when it comes to mental health and stuff, like, do you always tell people like there's like good, like, I guess a good thing to look out for?
Um, a good thing to look out for, I would say maybe we all have good days and bad days, and we all know when you're having like that time when it's just like you need to just be you just need to be left alone by yourself. But I would say look out for, like, that support system around you when people are trying to uplift you and trying to help you. Sometimes we can get a little blinded and think people are trying to like get in our way, or I don't know if that makes sense. Like, people are trying to tell you like you need to get help, you need to go to therapy or what have you, and we can maybe look at them and say, no, I don't, I'm okay, I can handle it on my own. But when other people can see, that thing that's like hanging over you as much as you feel it, then it's kind of like, yeah, it's affirming, I would say.
And then, like, how do you feel like your, like, because you said your first album was a mental health awareness album, correct? How do
Yeah.
you feel like that, like, reached people? Like, in
Yeah.
a sense, for the people it did reach.
Yeah, I would say I think it hit them in the heart first, if I can say that. And I say that because it was kind of a love letter to my community. In the Black community, there's a stigma sometimes that therapy is not important, or that it's not helpful, or that what stays in this house, I mean, what happens in this house stays in this house. And it's not just the Black community, it happens in other communities as well. But the album was really a love letter to my community to say, like, we all suffer at some point, but you don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to be alone. You aren't alone. And that's the thing, because we're all going through different things at different times. So it was just for people to really kind of take away that, yes, you may be going through something challenging now, but it's not the end of your story. It's a semicolon. Like, it's just a bump in the road. It's just a pause for you to work through it and learn yourself more on a deeper level.
And when you say, like, in the Black community, you just feel like, is it like mental health isn't taken, like, maybe as seriously? In a,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I could say that it's stigmatized to say that, like, um, it's stigmatized to a point, and it's gotten a lot better, but it's kind of just not something that's talked about as much. Like, it's not a dinner table conversation. How are you feeling today? How was this? How was that? How is your mental going, as much as you might see it in other communities or be normalized in other communities? That's what I would say. It's not normalized.
and with like all that, do you, I guess, maybe have you maybe seen or maybe heard, like, like, maybe like parents telling their kids like, oh, get over it, or it's like just something that's like if because like some people have that drive to just end it all.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they're like, well, if you do that, you're like a failure in a sense, like maybe not a failure, but couldn't find a better word for that.
I would definitely say, obviously every family has a different dynamic. But I would say it's just not like I said, it's not normalized. And personally, I haven't seen other families like front facing. I haven't seen it happen in my face, but I've definitely heard about it. I've had friends who have talked openly about their stories and shared with me different things that they encountered, and just the fact that like they weren't really encouraged to share how they're feeling mentally, and if they did, they were berated for it or told to, like you said, get over it, or even when they were younger, maybe told like stop crying before I give you something to cry about, like that type of thing, where it maybe wasn't such a loving atmosphere where they could bring their whole selves to the table.
And with like, I guess because I guess it happens everywhere, but like
Mhm.
when bringing your whole self to the table, like what do you think, like you personally, what do you think that means?
I think that means bringing the darkness and the light. So just being able to be open completely about who you are and what you're struggling with, as much as you're open with who you are and what you're achieving. Because we look at people and we love to hear about what people are doing that's positive, but for some people, as soon as they share, these negative experiences or things that they may be struggling with, we kind of look at them like, I don't really want to hear about that. So it's very interesting, like even on social media, it's kind of like, well, the social media is for the looks and not the, like it's not to go as deep, obviously, but um, that's what that platform kind of is for, is just you know aesthetics. But I think we're seeing more of people bringing their whole selves to the table on social media and in different scenarios and platforms and things. So I think that's good.
And do you feel like there's still like a stigma kind of like on social media of like if you're not posting like the perfect moments, like something's wrong?
That's
Like
interesting.
if you're posting the negative, like you're like, oh, I had a bad day or something,
Mm.
and
I think people feel like they have to put a lot of disclaimers on things. Like I don't think people feel like they can just be open. Like I think people feel like they have to put transparency posts just before they, put a caption about them being open or feeling down or something. Like they can't just use the caption, because when we are making a caption saying like, oh, I just went to the beach, or I achieved this today, or I got this award, we aren't like brag posts, or we aren't happy posts. Like we don't say that type of thing, we just say it. So I don't know, I think people feel like they have to disclaim a lot.
like on social media, do you have like, or is there something like you maybe want to say to like people who like feel like they have to post the perfect moments and not the negative moments?
I would say just be yourself. That's all I would say is, the world is filled with so many people who want what other people have, and it's not that we weren't put on the earth to live an abundant life and to have fun and have all these experiences, but you don't have to want someone else's life in order for your experience to be valid, or your experience to be fun and true, and whatever that means to you. So it's kind of just like, live your life and find the reasons why you were put here. You don't have to be a carbon copy of someone else.
And like also kind of piggyback on social media, is there like, I'm trying to figure out phrases, like if you ever seen like someone post like and maybe it's not even negative either, but they get like, do you feel like some people get like into the hate comments too much? Like
Mm.
they like see them, they're like, oh, like I'm not perfect, or
That's interesting. I think in certain scenarios, yes. I think we're all products of what we consume though. So the more I would say the more negative content that you consume, the more you kind of just feed into it naturally. But the more positive content you consume, the more you feed into that. So I kind of think it just really depends on what you're consuming, because that's the thing about the algorithm, is that we all have different feeds and different types of. I have a few different social media accounts on Instagram where like I just want to see this. I just want to see positive content. I don't even want to see what other people have going on. So I maybe have like one follower on one of my accounts because I just want to see the positive content. So I think it's all in what you choose to look at.
uh, would you say like choose what to look at and also kind of choose what to believe?
Yeah, yeah, yep, I would say that too. I would say that too. And discernment is important as well. A lot of people don't always have that positive motivation in their lives that encourages them to consume positive content. And it's very easy with, reality TV and all of these different things that are happening nowadays to get, like you said, caught up in that whole world. So it's kind of just like you kind of have to be very intentional about what you watch and what you even subscribe to. And on Instagram, it's who you follow that feeds into your algorithms. So yeah, it's I think it's just about being intentional.
Let's see. And let's move into the more positive. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Ooh, I would say my favorite childhood memory was actually, it's a funny story. I wasn't a bad kid, but I remember misbehaving a lot during this period of time where my mother was still alive. I was maybe 4 years old, and I was like just running around the house. I wouldn't be still. I wasn't listening. And she was like, you know what? If you're not gonna listen to me, I'm gonna take you to bad girls and bad boys school. And I'm like, what? What is that? Like, what is that? Is that a thing? I've never heard of that before. So she calls I know it was my grandmother on the phone. So she calls my grandmother, I think, and she tells her, okay, I need you to pretend to be a sergeant or a police officer or whatever. So she calls my grandmother, and then she puts my grandmother on the phone, and my grandmother's kind of like faking a voice or something. And she's like, hello, is this Raven? I'm like, yes, who is this? And she's like, this is Sergeant whoever, whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, I'm going to take you with me to Bad Boys and Bad Girls School. Do you want to come with me, or do you want to stay with your mom? I'm like, I want to stay with my mom. She's like, well, you need to behave or I'm going to come and get you. I was like, okay, okay, I'll behave, I'll behave. So after that, I started behaving, and then, here we are. So that was funny.
And what do you think your biggest failure is, and what did you learn from the experience?
Mm. I would I would like to say I won't call it a failure because I believe everything is just a stepping stone for growth. But I would say feeling like I lost time from depression and from being sick kind of did make me feel like a failure for a while. But then I reframed that thought and I was like, no, I'm not a failure. It just took time away from what I wanted to do, obviously. But I'm not a failure. I just have to learn how to get back on course. So that's what I learned. I learned how to get back on course and how to crush those limiting beliefs that I was starting to put into my head that kept trying to tell me I was a failure.
And what did you kind of learn from like, in a sense of like losing time, like you're like I can't get that time back, but I can
Yeah.
make new time.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, you know, you can't get time back, but you can always move forward and you can always grow and there's always like I said it many times already, like there's always a lesson in whatever you have gone through. There's always a lesson there. So that's what I've learned is just to look for the lesson in the storm and it'll turn into a rainbow.
And if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Hmm. I would say my heart.
And what's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
The best compliment I've ever gotten. That I'm a light.
And then what's an insult you've received that you're proud of? Or it doesn't even have to be an insult, but like something along those lines.
Hmm. Um. Hmm. That's interesting. I would say that my hmm. I don't know. I will reframe it. I would say it probably answers your question, but it's kind of different. I would kind of say that my biggest disability was never any medical issue that I had, but it was my mindset.
And like with the mindset and like coming into like, having like personal health problems, what do you think like between like having an illness like that and your mindset kind of had went hand in hand for?
Mm. I think it kind of went hand in hand, kind of just to say that, yeah, I'm struggling right now, but it won't be like this forever as long as I keep taking care of myself the best that I can. It won't always be this dark.
Oh, it's not funny. Eh. All right. What is a funny story your family tells about you that you'd like to share?
um, hmm. I would say maybe that I've been singing before I even knew that I could sing, maybe. Miming and different things like that, just like mimicking what I was hearing and different things. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Were you always like maybe the kid that was like singing and dancing around the house, maybe?
Yep, yeah, I was always that hyper kid, lots of energy.
And like as a child, I'm guessing you had like lots of energy. Like maybe
Yep,
you would
yep.
run around the house. Cause I have my little sister, so she like runs around.
Mm, yeah, from what I remember.
All right, let's see. What is your favorite holiday movie? Since it's almost the holiday, it's almost the holidays.
Yes, so Christmas is my favorite holiday. So I have two. One is the Polar Express, and then the other is the Grinch. Those are like my top two for every year. I'll watch it in June. I will. I just love those movies.
Yeah, I remember I'd watch like all, my mom would always watch Christmas movies from like even I think even before Thanksgiving.
If it's
All right.
good, it's good.
Oh yes, and we'd always watch Charlie Brown because.
Mhm.
All right, what? So other than singing, have you had any other jobs? I'm guessing
Yeah, I mean,
like
as a teen, I did customer service, and um, yeah, that was a learning experience for sure, having to be patient with people and you know how people can be.
and what was one thing you learned in like customer service?
With patience.
Yeah,
Definitely patience.
because sometimes you see and you're like, how did you not know this? Just like, all right,
Mhm.
what's your favorite job you've held?
My favorite job. Um, hmm. I would say, I would honestly say working for myself. That's a different type of freedom where you just, it's on you to kind of achieve what you want to achieve and get where you want to get. So I would say that that was my favorite because it's just another realm of creativity. So working for other people is good when you need to support yourself. You have to support yourself, but then working for yourself is a different type of whole nother world, I would say.
And what's one thing you've like learned from working for yourself, like I guess making your own brand?
hmm to just be as self-motivated as I can be, I would say, is, like I say, everything is on you, so you have to wake up and do it. You have to be the one to kind of drive yourself forward because if you don't, then it's not going to go anywhere. So just self-motivation.
All right. What about your least favorite job to date?
My least favorite job. I would say my first job, probably when I worked at Macy's for my first job. So that's where I learned that patience because, Black Friday was a beast. So that would be probably my least favorite job is that.
Yeah, I've never worked retail, but like I've heard Black Friday in retail is crazy. Because
Yeah.
even going to the stores, like to
hmm
buy stuff, is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts. People definitely get out of their character, and maybe if they're, I don't know, if you're going that far, that has to be kind of how you act all the time, I would think. But people definitely come out of their character. I want this deal. I need this coupon. I need to use like, and it's just like, ma'am, it's a sweater. Calm down. Calm down.
Or especially like going to like smaller stores and buying like electronics.
Yeah, yeah,
Because everyone's like, I need it. Oh, we're out. Well, you
yeah.
can't be.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I think I would say hold on. Just hold on. The light is coming. It's okay. Like I just said, it's okay. It's okay.
And then, what does your morning routine look like, and how does it like impact your day?
Mm. So, the first thing I do in the morning is I meditate, and then I, go through my whole getting ready routine and all of that stuff, and then I come back and then I meditate, eat something, I maybe work out, and then get started with my day. So, definitely starting with the meditation always helps me to get that peace and set my intentions for the day and all of that good stuff. So that's important for me.
And do you think you're more of a morning person or a night owl?
I am a night owl. Definitely a night owl. My creativity flows the best at night.
Yeah, it's even like even when you're like not even doing anything, you're maybe just like playing on your phone or something. You're just like, I have a brilliant idea.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely comes more in the nighttime.
All right, let's see. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Bali. Um, I love it. Anytime I see a picture of Bali, I've never been, but anytime I see a picture, it just looks so peaceful, and you can feel the tranquility through the picture. Like, so that's where I would live.
And then, what was your favorite subject in school?
Hmm. Music. Easy question. Music. Everything else was cool, but music was that was the best one.
And what was it like? Did you ever have like a maybe a music teacher who kind of like who helped set you on the path?
Yeah, definitely. Even in elementary school, I had music teachers who always like encouraged me. But when I got to middle school, my middle school and high school were the same school, so I had a lot of the same teachers for that whole um, 6 years. So my choir director, whose name was Dr. Woods, he definitely was that person for me who poured into us and like really really taught us from a place of like wisdom and so much experience and so much like lived experience, not just like book smarts and things like that. So yeah, he definitely was that person for me and still is. He still inspires me. He still he doesn't teach anymore, but he's still with us in this earthly plane and he still inspires. So I love it.
Does he like now maybe like come support you in different ways than like he would have like when you were in school?
I haven't seen him actually since I haven't seen him in a while. Like, the pandemic kind of, I guess, shifted a lot of things, but I haven't seen him in a while. But I know if I invited him to something and he was still, in good health, and he would come out.
And then let's see. What was your favorite trip you've ever taken?
Mm. I would say my favorite trip was a high school summer trip. We went to California, and I live in Ohio, so it was a totally different world, and I had never been to California before. So that was really fun to kind of get to see this whole other, place where things were totally different. And then, you see Hollywood and the Walk of Fame and all of these places that you see on TV. So it was really cool.
And like, what did you like love about California compared to Ohio?
Everything kind of just felt free, I guess. And some people say it feels like it's a dark, Los Angeles is like a dark place or whatever, but it just felt so free to me. Like everybody was appearing to be happy and sunny, and it was, the ocean was right there, so it was just very free and light, and it's nice.
And then like what for like anyone who listening who isn't from Ohio like myself, what is Ohio like?
Ohio is, hmm, it is quiet sometimes, but then also bustling, depending on where you live. I'm more in an area where there's city life, and then if you travel a little bit, you'll get some country stuff. So it kind of borders on city and country. Like you'll kind of travel between city and country, city by city almost. So it's kind of interesting, but it's a chill place.
And like if have you like traveled to other maybe states since then?
Yeah, I would say my favorite place was, well, not my favorite place, but one of them would be Illinois and Chicago specifically. I love Chicago, even in the winter, even when it's windy and whatever. I love it.
And did you like get to maybe see like different like cultures per se, like in the other places you've traveled?
Um, in Chicago, kind of. I mean, Chicago to me was kind of like it kind of felt like Cleveland, like Ohio, sort of, kind of. It was, a lot of big buildings and things, so you kind of saw a little bit of everybody who, I don't know, it was a little bit of everybody, so, but it felt a lot like Cleveland.
And then let's see, are you more introverted or extroverted?
Hmm, interesting. I would say I'm more introverted, definitely, publicly. And then I'm more extroverted privately.
And like when it comes to like your career and like, performing and stuff, do people like maybe think that you're more introverted, just
Mhm.
because of your profession?
I think people think I'm more extroverted because of my profession. because of my profession. I think um, people think anyone in entertainment, to be honest, is extroverted and has a big booming personality, and it's kind of how you're taught to be. It's because if you aren't, then sometimes people won't listen. But it's always good for people to be themselves.
And then, if if you won $10 million tomorrow, what would you spend it on?
Hmm, what would I spend it on? A multitude of things, I think, but I would split it a bunch of different ways. I would take care of home, care of things at home. I would take care of myself, take care of family, set myself up for the future, maybe donate some to charity, maybe start a charity, do some community work, do a little bit of everything.
Like that's probably like the best thing I've heard when asking that question. Is like, all right, yeah. And you said you're an author, right?
Yep.
Um, so with this next question, like, what was your book about?
Yeah, so it's called Butterfly Language, and it's basically about my caterpillar to butterfly story. So I start talking about like how I started in the egg and then blossomed into this butterfly, and I just take the reader through that whole journey through my music. So it's an interactive book where they can scan a QR code and it'll take them to the song, and then they can read the stories and the lessons and do different activities that correlate to the music. So that's what it's about, just my story and my journey. Yeah.
And if you um, had to write like another book tomorrow, what do you think it would be about?
That's funny. I would say it would probably be about something about entrepreneurship, probably, and be a play off of butterfly language. That's probably what it would be about.
And then, what do you think your biggest pet peeve is?
My biggest pet peeve: outside clothes on couches, shoes on couches. I can't stand it when I'm watching a movie and you see the main character and they have like their shoes on the bed. I just no.
Do you have like the one like I think the most common one is when someone chews with their mouth open.
Yeah, that can get annoying. It definitely can get annoying. Just that sound. And to look at, yeah, I get that one.
All right. If you had to eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Hmm. I would say salad. It will be the responsible choice, just to get all the nutrients. But um, otherwise, I would say vegan mac and cheese.
And what is it about like vegan mac and cheese?
Oh my goodness, uh, have you had mac and cheese?
I've
It's
had okay, I've had mac and
beautiful.
cheese, but I've had it like it's not even well, it's not even real mac and cheese as
Okay.
like my family tells me. It's just the powdered cheese, but
Okay.
it works.
Yeah, like there's so many different ways you can make mac and cheese. You can bake it, or you can do it on the stove top in the microwave. You can put stuff in it, chicken, spinach, whatever, or you can just have it classic. So I don't know, mac and cheese is like magical, and I just perfected mine. I feel like this Thanksgiving, not to pat myself on the back, but it was good.
Yeah, I think the best like I had yeah, it was like a nacho mac and cheese. It was really good.
Mm, that's interesting. I would try it.
All right, and then what would the title of the book about you be if like someone who didn't like you wrote it?
Oh. Hmm. If someone who didn't like me wrote it, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
All right. Um, what's one thing your business venture did that you didn't expect?
Hmm. I would say I didn't expect for people to circle back around and let me know like how much of an impact it had on them. I wasn't really expecting that, to get like an email or a review that says like, I appreciate that you put mental health and self-care into your business. I wasn't really expecting that. I was just doing it because it felt right to me. But I wasn't expecting to kind of get those compliments and feedback.
And were like those like compliments and feedback? Were they like, did they make you feel good? Like, maybe you were kind of in that place of like, what am I doing?
Mm, yeah, it did make me feel good. I would say I got imposter syndrome for a little bit when I was just first starting my business, because I was kind of like, well, I kind of feel like I should be focusing on music right now. I don't know if this is like what I should be doing. So I kind of got in my head a little bit, but then I kind of got affirmed from those reviews and feedback that, okay, this is something that's needed right now.
And then what's like the biggest challenge right now that you're facing within your like business or projects and right now, and how are you tackling them?
Hmm. I would say um, maybe just learning how to take time for myself and not really be, um, not like drive myself crazy, I guess you could say, is just, I'm one person, I'm not a full team. I do this by myself. So just making sure that I'm taking care of myself, I would say. But also just kind of growing into where I see it's going, I guess. Like if that makes any sense, is just kind of trying to map things out.
And like, do you have like people in your life right now who are like, you know, saying like for business, like if they're like, I don't want to run my own business because I'd be working like 24 hours. Do you feel like you work like 24 hours a day?
No, not anymore. I did feel like that at first, but I kind of feel like as a creative, I'm always working or developing something. So my brain is always on. It doesn't really matter what time of day it is, even though I do feel like I'm more of a night owl. If I get an idea, I just have the idea and I have to write it down, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is. So I would say my brain is always on.
And like when people like say that to like maybe anyone who's running a business, do you think it's maybe that they don't have maybe as much of that creative mindset as like maybe
Yeah.
the business owner?
Yeah, it could be that, or it could just be that they don't fully understand that perspective of when you do have something that you're in control of, that's literally the point. You're in control of it, so you have to, like I said, put the time and the work and the energy and the effort into it, no matter what it looks like. And it can look a plethora of different ways for different people, but sometimes those words from family and friends kind of just comes from a place of fear of, oh well, they're not going to have as much time to spend with me anymore, or just that kind of perspective of, oh, we used to go out and party all night, but now they're an entrepreneur, so they have to stay home or whatever. So it can come from different places.
And what is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
Mm. To never stop learning, to never stop growing. Yeah, just never stop learning. No matter how old I get, I think I'll always be a student of life, and I'll always want to learn something new. And that's why my grandmother inspires me, because she just turned 81 on Thursday, and she is still youthful. She still has that spirit of learning and being a student of life, like no matter how old she gets. So that's what I would say.
And then what is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting out, either maybe running their own business or maybe wanting to make music?
I would say take your time, do your research, feel the creative inspiration no matter what time of day it is. Let it flow, let it, move through you, and just pay attention to where you are now and where you want to be. Take notes when people give you good advice, and you'll get far.
And like maybe with like people who want to start running their business, do you have like maybe do you think like doing your research prior probably is it do you think it's like important to make sure you kind of have a path to stay on?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's important to at least know what direction you want to go in, because there's many different micro genres of entrepreneurship and different things that you can do business in. But if you're trying to start a restaurant, you shouldn't be concerned about, making skincare products. Or if you're trying to make skincare products, you shouldn't be concerned about opening a trampoline park. Or, it's like you have to be focused, and you do have to have a plan. Even if you want to be that entrepreneur who has a restaurant, a skincare line, a trampoline park, and you want to have all these different types of businesses, you have to focus with one thing at a time and let that grow and flourish, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I feel like for me when starting like any of my businesses, it was I would go into it too fast. So now I'm
Mm,
just working on slow launches every
yeah, yeah, that's
and
good.
making sure my time is put into one thing at a time and then
Hmm.
moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And then what's one lesson, your job has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Hmm. I would say that personal development is important. Even, in running a business, like you have to be personally grounded in order to, let that continue over into the business world. And it only makes the business stronger when you are personally grounded and you know who you are. Because when you go into these rooms and you're trying to get funding, or you're trying to get, people to listen to you and support you, when they try to tell you, Shark Tank is a really good example. Like, people go on there all the time to get funding or whatever. And I remember specifically this one lady, she went on there and she was starting a lipstick business, and they told her, oh, you have all these ugly, crazy colors, this will never sell. And now she's the highest selling black woman with a lipstick brand in Target. And it's like, you don't know anything until, it happens. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting.
And like, do you think like, using that story for example, like, sometimes it is just opinion.
Yep, yep, that's all it is. And it's, those are people who have business smarts. They've had successful businesses, and, they've gotten really far in their careers. But then it's like, at the same time, the world is changing and things are changing. So you kind of never know until you know. You never know until people try things nowadays. Somebody might be the first to do something or to prove somebody wrong. So.
And then did you always want to be like running your own business and making music?
Um, Business ownership, I would say yes and no. I was that kid who had a lemonade stand, a car wash, who was selling things. I was a Girl Scout. I was the top seller in my class, getting the pizza party, getting the limo. That was me as a kid. So if I look back, I can kind of always see how I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. But I don't think I ever really thought about it seriously until I really started thinking about it in my like later teens, I would say. But music, I always knew that that was something I wanted to do from 4 years old.
And like, do you like for your business, do you have to do like a lot of like marketing per se to kind of get it out there?
Yeah, I would say right now I'm in a period of relaunching. So before that, definitely was doing a lot of marketing and a lot of word of mouth marketing as well, and in person events more than like online stuff. But yeah, definitely lots of marketing and just kind of like trying to get the word out there.
And like one thing with like marketing, do you feel like you have to like kind of, I guess maybe reach out to all the sources that you can find?
Yeah, I think that's something I'm learning now. More so in the music realm to market myself in that area is just like being more omnipresent and kind of learning what that means, omnipresent marketing, and really just like trying to be everywhere all at once and having your name really be the topic of the conversation. Um, so yeah, I'm learning more about how to do that thing that we call marketing and how to really make it better, I would say.
Do you ever feel like with marketing, like maybe you would reach out to somewhere and you like, you would do the marketing and you're like, but I've been doing this for so long. Like I've been doing this and just like people are like, oh, you're good at it, and you're like, I've just been kind of doing this for years now.
Yeah, I think I would say that about social media more. Kind of just like, we if you have a personal profile, then you post to your personal profile whenever you feel like it. But for some reason, it kind of feels like pulling teeth to post to the the business side for some reason. I don't know. But trying to just integrating that kind of into the personal has kind of helped more for me, to just make sure I'm not being as quiet. But we all have things that we have to work on. So hopefully, things get stronger in 2024. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
And do you feel like when, maybe for business having to post on social media, is it sometimes hard to maybe come up with like the hashtag so like, more people see it?
Yeah, yeah. I think that whole world can kind of get confusing, but luckily there are people who are there to help. God bless them because it's definitely difficult to do it on your own. So that research is important and it's always changing too. So that, yeah.
And then what do you think like your favorite productivity I've been saying this word wrong. What do you think your favorite productivity hack for entrepreneurs is?
Mm. To stay organized, I would probably say, I don't know if I would suggest using the Notes app in your phone, but I use the Notes app consistently to just make sure that my lists are organized and make sure that like I'm staying on top of things. But there's probably a lot better things on the market that can actually remind you to do whatever you need to do. But the Notes app definitely gets me where I need to be.
Yeah, and I know for like that there is like some apps that will let you like check it off.
Hmm.
But I always tell people like writing stuff down because like you're all in your brain. It helps when you write it
Yeah,
down so that way it's out of your brain. You're like, okay, I can actually look at what I need to do now.
totally. Yeah, yeah, that helps too.
And then, and at what time of day do you think you get your best work done? I know you said you're a night owl, but like,
I would definitely say the nighttime, just because I don't know, it's something about that energy of just like you had the whole day to kind of wake up or the whole day to organize yourself and organize your thoughts, and then you can kind of just get to wherever you need to do, get it done. So, yeah.
and like, what underrated tools or anything you use are indispensable for you?
Mm. I would say Spotify. Listening to music every day, that's a non-negotiable. Like I said, the Notes app, non-negotiable, non-negotiable. Like even for when I get an idea, I take my phone everywhere I go because if I get an idea, I have to be able to write it down and I have to be able to voice record myself as well. Um, So definitely those two, I would say, are like the biggest ones. And then I love this meditation app. It's called Balance. I have that actually included in my book where people can scan it to get like a free year of the meditation app. So those are definitely important, I would say.
And if you could start another business tomorrow, what would that business be?
Mm, I would probably do a food business, because my husband he keeps saying like you need to open a restaurant, you need to open a restaurant. I'm like, it's on the list of things to do within the next 10 years, but tomorrow maybe I would still maybe stick with the restaurant, maybe just to make my tummy and his happy.
And like with restaurants, do you think there's like a lot of, I guess, kind of moving pieces, like, considering like staffing and
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's
like
something
products?
I haven't really done a ton of research to understand how their how that like process goes, or even how a kitchen is like ran and things like that. So I don't really know a ton, and I've never had a job in hospitality, but I think definitely there's a lot of moving pieces, and definitely respect anybody in that industry.
And then how would you describe what you do now? Like to someone who just randomly asked you on the street.
I would say I'm a professional butterfly. That's what I would say. And then that sparks a conversation. And then we get into the whole shebang.
And then do you feel like your work like ever overwhelms you at any point, and like what do you do to kind of mentally balance it back?
I would say I try my best, just like anybody else, to kind of make sure my workload is balanced. But sometimes I definitely put more on my plate than I can maybe handle in a day, and then it gets pushed to the next day. So sometimes it's just a matter of taking things off the plate intentionally so they don't have to get pushed to the side or like left to do for later. And then back to meditation, I just really believe that that's important. So that's something that I do morning, noon, and night to keep myself grounded and just like, in out of my head and into my presence. So.
And then where to go? Are there any resources that have helped you on your journey?
I would definitely say once again the Balance app, Spotify, those two for sure. The Balance app specifically because it has like a ton of different guided meditations, and then it also just has like regular like music, I guess, or vibes that you can listen to that just kind of like keep you calm, and you can just have it playing in your ear. And then I also love to just listen to like a good podcast where they're spreading positivity. That's important.
Do you ever like maybe like start your day with a podcast?
Yeah, I do. I love to listen to, his name is Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he has a podcast called Take Back Your Mind, where it's literally about, him teaching people or just having discussions about taking your mind back from whatever it's being held down from. So, yeah, that's a good one that I like to listen to.
And do you have any other favorite podcasts?
Hmm. I love, let's see. There's one called the R&B Money podcast that I like to listen to, and it's about R&B and how people have made money in that space. So that's a cool one.
All right, and then let's see. Can you tell us one interesting fact about you?
Yeah, one interesting fact about me is that I love adventure. Yeah, I love adventure. I don't know if I would go as far as jumping out of a plane, but I love adventure. I love hiking and biking and just like doing adventurous stuff. I used to climb trees when I was younger, so that was fun.
All right, two more questions. First one, where can people find you online?
Yes, so you can find me at Raven Ray Official on Instagram. You can find me at Raven Ray on Facebook, and then Raven Ray Sings on YouTube. And then my music is available on all streaming platforms under Raven Ray.
And then, how do you think our listeners can support you on your journey?
If you're able to get my book, I would say Get Butterfly Language. Is definitely a wealth of information in there, from music to just lessons and activities that you can do to really pour into yourself. So I would just say, if you're able to support me, get the book, gift it to somebody for Christmas, for their birthday, for the holidays that they celebrate. Yeah, that would be powerful.
All right, and thank you for being on Reinvented today. I do hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and thank you again.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.